is there, by way of advice, was funding in your own journey helpful, unhelpful? Like, is there a right time to get
You mean
funding,
venture funding
venture
specifically?
funding, or anything? Borrow some money from your parents. I don't know, but
Yeah,
any
right.
like, is money get in the way? Does it help? Is the timing important? Is there some kind of wisdom you can give there because you were exceptionally successful very quickly?
Funding helps as long as it's from the right people. That includes yourself. And I'll talk about myself funding myself in a second, which is like, because I can fund myself doing whatever projects I can do, I don't really have another person putting pressure on me except for myself. And that creates strange dynamics, right? But let's like talk about people getting funding from a venture capitalist initially. We raised money from Matt Kohler at Benchmark. He's brilliant, amazing guy, very thoughtful. And he was very helpful early on. But I have stories from entrepreneurs where they raised money from the wrong person or the wrong firm, where incentives weren't aligned. They didn't think in the same way. And bad things happened because of that. The boardroom was always noisy. There were fights. Like, we just never had that. Matt was great. I think like capital these days is kind of a dime a dozen, right? Like, as long as you're fundable, like, it seems like there's money out there is what I'm hearing. Um, it's really important that you are aligned and that you think of raising money as hiring someone for your team rather than taking money if capital is plentiful, right? It provides a certain amount of pressure to do the right thing that I think is healthy for any startup. And it keeps you real and honest because they don't want to lose their money. They're paid to not lose their money. The problem, maybe I could depersonalize it, but like, I remember having lunch with Elon. It's only happened once. And I asked him, I was trying to figure out what I was doing after Instagram, right? Yeah. And I asked him something about like angel investing. And he looked at me with a straight face. He was like, why the F would I do that? Like, why? Like, I was like, well, I don't know. Like, you're connected. Like, seems like, he's like, I only invest in myself. And I was like, ooh, okay. Like, not the confidence. I was just like, what a novel idea. It's like, yeah, if you have money, like, why not just put it against your bag and like,
Yeah.
enable you visiting Mars or something, right? Like, that's awesome, great. But I had never really thought of it that way. But also with that comes an interesting dynamic where you don't actually have people who are going to lose that money telling you, hey, don't do this, or hey, you need to face this reality. So you need to create other versions of that truth teller. Mm-hmm. And I whatever I do next, that's going to be one of the interesting challenges is how do you create that truth-telling situation? And that's part of why, by the way, I think someone like Jack, when you start Square, you have money, but you bring on partners because I think it creates a truth-telling type environment. I'm still trying to figure this out. It's an interesting dynamic.
So you're thinking of perhaps launching some kind of venture where you're investing in yourself?
I mean,
is there in the books potential?
I'm 37, going on 38 next month. I have a long life to live. I'm definitely not going to sit on the beach, right? So I'm going to do something at some point, and I gotta imagine I will like help fund it, right? So the other way of thinking about this is you could park your money in the S&P, and this is bad because the S&P has done wonderfully well the last year, right? Or you can invest in yourself, and if you're not going to invest in yourself, you probably shouldn't do a startup. It's kind of the way of thinking about it.
And you can invest in yourself in the way Elon does, which is basically go all in on this investment. Maybe that's one way to achieve accountability is like you're kind of screwed if you fail.
Man, yeah.
I personally like that. I like burning bridges behind me so that I'm fucked if it fails.
Yeah. It's really important though. One of the things I think Mark said to me early on that sticks with me that I think is true. We were talking about people who had left like operating roles and started doing venture or something. And he was like, a lot of people convince themselves they work really hard. Like they think they work really hard and they put on the show and in their minds they work really hard, but they don't work very hard. There is something about lighting a fire underneath you and burning bridges such that you can't turn back.
Yeah.
That I think, we didn't talk about this specifically, but I think you're right. you need to have that because there's this self-delusion at a certain scale. Oh, I have so many board calls. Oh, like we have all these things to figure out. It's like, this is one of the hard parts about it being an operator. It's like there are so many people that have made a lot of money not operating, but operating is just one of the hardest things on earth. It is just so effing hard. It is stressful. You're dealing with real humans. You're not just like throwing capital in and hoping it grows. I'm not undermining the VC mindset. I think it's a wonderful thing and needed, and so many wonderful VCs I've worked with. But yeah, like when your ass is on the line and it's your money, it's talk to me in 10 years. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but like you were saying, that is a source. When you wake up in the morning and you look forward to the day full of challenges, that's also where you can find happiness.